the next two once we finish that.
Sirius XM, The Blend.
If you got a problem, don't care what it is. You need a hand, I can assure you this. I can help. I got two strong arms
back to work. Well, good morning, everyone. Off to a slightly different start. Does anybody want to claim these keys that got left around here? It's got Jackie? Okay.
Some ID, please.
We trust everyone here. I'm Karen Calais. I'll be the worship associate this morning. I still use she, her pronouns. We are here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fredericksburg, or for short, UUFF. You are welcome here. No exceptions. No matter how you dress, who you love, or who you plan to vote for this coming November, no matter what you believe or what you're addicted to, you are welcome here. Since each of us is a unique expression of life and love, we take delight in connecting this morning. Whoever you are, whether old-timer or newcomer, thank you for coming and sharing yourself. Our fellowship is honored. This morning we are going to be talking about transformational events in our lives. We are delighted to have 6 brave, sharing members of our UUFF congregation to share their stories. We will also want to hear your thoughts on this important topic. So we hope you'll join in the conversation when David calls for that. Now, please consider these words from Sue Monk Kidd. I believe in stories. The world has enough dogma. It's stories we need more of. Stories that reverence the still, small voice that sings our life. As Anthony DeMello observed, the shortest distance between a human being and truth is a story. All personal theology should begin with the words, "Let me tell you a story." We will begin our service this morning singing, "Enter, rejoice, and come in." So I invite everyone to stand, if you are able, and join in the singing.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice. Now leave it right there. I think we need to pick up the tempo a little bit, don't you think so? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your heart to the song. Open your heart to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, and come in. Thank you. You may be seated. Every month, our fellowship takes up a special offering for a group that is doing important work in our community. And this month, we are focusing on and supporting our LGBTQ plus community. So Jackie's going to come talk about that. And when she's done talking, we're going to be taking up an offering. So hopefully our ushers are ready, our greeters, they'll have the offering boxes ready for us so that they can pass that around. All right, there they go. Thank you, Nan. Okay, Jackie, tell us about the LGBTQ.
Thank you, David. The UU LGBTQIA+ Sanctuary is a welcoming social group for youth ages 12 to 20. It's a space where teens can fully be themselves, relaxing, connecting, and building community in a safe and supportive environment. We meet every third Friday from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and offer a variety of activities, including games, crafts, learning about queer history, and participating in events like the Pride Parade. We proudly collaborate with Fredericksburg Pride to strengthen community outreach. All gatherings are supervised by trained background-checked mentors who help create a fun and affirming space. Your donations help make this possible. They go directly toward food, supplies, and funding, inclusive activities, and outing for youth. We also have amazing volunteers that are part of our community here. If you volunteer with the LGBTQ Sanctuary, can you stand up real quick? Thanks guys. These folks give one of their Fridays every month away to help these kids have a better place to be. So all of the money that we're collecting today will go to help us make those nights more fun. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I encourage you to give generously. Everything that you put in the basket that's going around right now is going to that LGBT plus ministry. So I encourage you to give generously. So Rebecca, come now. The Euphorics is going to give you our best 1970s sound.
First I was afraid, I was petrified, just thinking I could never live without you by my side. And then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong. And I grew strong, and I learned how to get along. And now you're back from outer space. I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. I should have changed that stupid lock. I should have made you leave your key. If I'd have known for just 1 second you'd be back to bother me. Go on now, go. Walk out the door. Just turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to hurt me with goodbye? Do you think I'd stumble? Do you think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I. I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to give. I've got all my life to live. I'll survive. I will survive. Hey, it took all the strength I had not to fall apart, trying hard to mend the pieces of my broken heart. And I spent so many nights feeling sorry for myself. I used to cry, but now I hold my head up high and you see me, somebody new. I'm not that chained up little person still in love with you. And so you felt like dropping in and just expected to be free. Now I'm saving all my loving for someone who's loving me. Go on now, go. Walk out the door. Just turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to break me with goodbye? Do you think I'd crumble? Do you think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I. I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to live. I've got all my love to give, and I'll survive. I will survive. Hey, hey, hey.
All right, hard to top that one. Would you just join us standing? Let's sing together. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Here we go. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue sky. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue sky. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. And the RE is now beginning. So if you'd like to participate in that program, you can see Jackie right over here. And our panelists are going to come up now. Yeah, come on up. Let's welcome our 6 panelists, our brave UUF members. And Gloria, kick us off. Tell us what you're going to be talking about here.
Oh, good morning. Can you hear me? Okay. A few months ago, Sunday Service Committee, we have 2 other members here, Steve and Patrick, came up with the idea of members sharing a moment of transformation in their life. Fortunately, we had 3 other folks that were willing to be brave and do it too. So we will each introduce ourselves, tell our story, and thank you for listening to our story. Okay, I'm going to start. I'm Gloria Lloyd. I moved here 25 years ago this month with my husband. We had lived in Lynchburg for 60 years, so it was a big move. And one of the first things we did was join the UU. So for 25 years, I've been a member. The next thing I did, before I moved to Fredericksburg, I had been a hospice volunteer. I had taught death and dying classes and been a significant part of my life, so I volunteered to work at Mary Washington Hospice, and after a year, they hired me. I became an employee, which is everybody's dream job, to be a volunteer, then get paid for something that is so meaningful to you. And I worked until I was 75. So, 10 years later, it's still important to me. Patrick and I do an end-of-life group. So this may never have happened if it wasn't for something that happened a half century ago. I was, at that time, a Christian believer. I belonged to Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. It was the Lent season, and a Lenten Bible class was offered. So I signed up, and the first night, the pastor had us all go around and say, "Why are you in this class?" And I, like most of the folks there, said, "We want to learn more about the Bible." So he saved the last three people to last, and they said, Mark said, "I'm dying of leukemia." And his parents said, "We are grieving our son's death." I thought, oh my God. Death is scary. This is not something I ever want to be a part of. Let me get out of here. I'm never coming back. Some force brought me back. So for the 6 weeks, I think it's 6 weeks of Lent, I listened to this family in grief. I heard Mark, who was 5 years younger than me, talk about the pain of dying and leaving his 2-year-old son. I heard the parents talk about how much they would rather die than have their son die. And I listened to the pastor who never once brought up the Bible. He never once brought up Scripture. He never once said this is part of God's plan. He listened and he listened and he listened, and he taught all of us to listen too. So the class ended, but something had been planted in me that did not end. A few months later, Mark called and said, could I come see him? And I did. And I laid down beside him in the bed, and we had almost no words, but I felt like I was at home. This was where I belonged. Mark died, but what Mark and the pastor in that group taught didn't die in me. It planted something in me, and it went on to become my life's work. I'm no longer a Christian believer, but that Lent season a half century ago is sacred in my mind. I will never, ever forget it. And telling you about it this morning is like I was there once again. Okay, thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jackie again. Hello. I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened 2 years ago, 2 days ago. 2 years ago, my life split into before and after. It was a summer day, and we spent it together as a family. I didn't know it was about to be the last one like it. After a doctor's appointment, my then wife put our 5-year-old daughter into her truck and informed me, just like that she was taking her to live in another county with a friend. She had already changed her school, no conversation, no co-parenting, just, here's what's happening now. I stood there shocked while our daughter screamed and cried, "Mommy, I want to go with Mommy." I begged her to pull over so I could hug our daughter goodbye. When I finally held her, she asked me why my face was wet. I told her I was just sweating and that the trip to Heidi's would be so much fun. I lied to protect her. I lied to protect me because the truth was unbearable. And here's the truth. This was never about custody. This wasn't about who had legal rights or paperwork. This was about a 5-year-old girl who just wanted her mommy, and it still is. That moment changed everything. I went from being the safe place to being forcibly kept away. I went from cooking her meals and bedtime routines to every other weekend parenting. I went from making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to pleading through lawyers for basic visitation. But that moment also taught me something I hadn't expected, that when truth is painful, it's still worth saying out loud. That sometimes healing starts not with fixing what was broken, but with naming it. There's a lot more to the story. Legal twists, missed holidays, medical appointments I wasn't told about. But those aren't the moments that transform me. The moment that transformed me was a little girl asking why my face was wet when I held her and told her everything would be okay. I'm sitting here today, not to dwell in the pain, but to witness the love that never went away. To remind myself, and maybe remind you too, that love is not diminished by distance. That truth, even when it shakes, still stands. And our children know who shows up, even when the systems don't. So, if you're going through something, if you feel silenced or erased or heartbroken, let your truth get loud. Not for revenge, not for pity, but because healing lives in the light. And not just for Austin's mommy, but for Austin too.
I'm Shirley Santulli. I'm here to talk about Friday, April 26, 2013, was a glorious spring day. The sun was shining, the dogwoods were blooming. It also was the day that my life and my family's life changed forever. Our beautiful, artistic, and witty daughter, Chelsea, took her own life on that day. She was 26 years old. Of course, my husband Scott and I were devastated. No parent is prepared to make funeral arrangements for their child. We lived in a wonderful neighborhood in Northern Virginia at the time, and our friends, our neighbors, and neighbors we didn't even know came to our aid immediately, bringing food and, more importantly, the moral support that we really needed. One friend, Wendy, friend and neighbor, found out that we were talking to the local funeral home trying to make arrangements, and we were in such a daze. She just took over. And what happened was she made arrangements to have a memorial service at the UU Church in Oakton, where she is a member. I was overwhelmed by the volunteers who set up tables and food and flowers and gave us a beautiful space for the very many friends and family who came from miles around, far away, some of them, to honor our daughter. Scott and I have a strong bond. We grieved together, we grieved apart, and we're still grieving. We found solace in the UU services in Oakton that year. At the time, the minister was Mary Catherine, and we were so raw that when she spoke, we felt like she was speaking directly to us. A year later, we moved here to Fredericksburg and sought out this UU. We became members, and that alone was transformative to me. When years passed, when I lost my sister, my parents, I felt kind of lost because my beliefs didn't seem to fit in with any religions that I knew about. So I found out that my beliefs are okay here. And I feel a sense of belonging, and I feel support from all of you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jackie Arthur. My husband took his life 14 years ago this month, not this day. I was an RN working in the medical field at the time. I didn't see his suicide coming, and I didn't see a gift coming to me the first night after I'd seen his body in our backyard the previous morning. I lay awake in bed. I didn't take any medication. And I tossed and I turned. I was trying to figure out how can I get to bed. I had a limited background in meditation and breathing. I went that way, but it still tossed and turned. And as my eyes were slowly closing, what happened? That picture of him that I saw in the backyard after he committed suicide, a picture of him came right in front of that, of a smiling Michael. It was a photo that was taken a year before, and I went to sleep like that. And that started my awakening, or as I call it, transformation. And of course, the days ensued of counseling and sessions, and my son was involved in it as well. But that same picture popped over. My body was trying to heal myself, and my subconscious was working, even though I didn't consciously say, what can I do to make me get to sleep better? That happened, and I firmly believe a lot of us live in our subconscious. I asked myself afterwards, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? What do I value? Where am I going? What am I thinking about? And how can I live my life more joyfully? And yet give attention to individuals who are in need as well. Remember, I was a nurse. Joyfulness was first and foremost in my life. It's a balancing act. And what did I value first? I valued my health. I enrolled in a year-long yoga training course here in Fredericksburg. I'm from Santa Barbara, California. Excuse me. So I did that for transformation. I did not do it at all to be teaching. And also, I brought into my life singing. I have a very short vocal range, but there are songs out there I can sing. So I took voice lessons for a year and a half, and let me tell you, I walk around my house and I break into a song, more oxygen into my body, and I feel wonderful. That was another endeavor of mine. And also meditation followed. I dabbled with meditation, but I hadn't really listened to a lot of CDs, gone to meditation classes, or taken any workshops or retreats. I went full bore into that, and I feel that has helped me balance myself far more than anything else in my life. A quote was mentioned last week by David Brown, or a few weeks ago in his service talk. Don't believe everything you think. And since my husband died, that has been a quote that I think of often. I'm a work in progress. It turns out that boundaries were a big problem for me growing up. I grew up in a Methodist church where mother and dad volunteered for everything. My dad was an electrician, and he was in charge of wiring. He had help, of course, the new social hall. My mother was a teacher by profession, and she was teaching numerous classes, Sunday school classes. And I was very much involved with the MYF, Methodist Youth Fellowship. What can I do to help others? But I never ever was taught about setting my own personal boundaries, and that was also something that I have engaged in the last 14 years, and I continue to work at. What do I really believe spiritually? That I dealt with constantly during my life with Michael. He was not a believer in anything, and I was going to the Methodist church, and I love social action, so that's why I was involved. Methodist church is big on social action. So that took up a lot of my time. But then again, after Michael died, I said, I want to own my own truths. What do I really believe? And I started looking into other aspects of worship. And I understand that to a great extent, many of the stories that came down the pike from the beginning of time help people with their situations and help them to hold on to something. And that was just fine, but that wasn't for me. I came here in 2018 off and on until 2020. And then in January of 2020, we all know what happened in 2020, right? I joined, and I have never looked back. This is a great opportunity for me to investigate my own spiritual beliefs, and one of them that I hold near and dear, Rumi states, kindness is his religion. Kindness is my religion. Thank you.
Excuse me. I am just dead honored to be up here with my friends and them sharing their stories and their experiences. It's just quite an honor, really. So thank you all. My name is Steve Watkins. I've been a member of sorts of the UU for, 33 years, I think. Yeah, this has sort of been my community, off and on, for a long time. When I was 22, I did some traveling. I left America for several months. And I found myself in December of 1976 in the Aravalli Hills, which is the oldest mountain range in the world. It's in Rajasthan province in India. I had been traveling in India, Nepal, Thailand for several pretty hard months, and was about as wasted as one could get from the experience. My friend David, who I'd been traveling with, had been in the Peace Corps prior to my coming over and us traveling together. He'd finished his Peace Corps stint. We went back to his village in Rajasthan and met his friends. And then we, one of the last things we were going to do before coming back to the States was rent some old clunker coaster brake bicycles and ride down the dirt trunk road to a wildlife preserve called Sariska in the Aravalli Hills, and cycle up into the hills to a Hanuman temple, and we spent the night there with a sadhu that David sort of knew. The sadhu hadn't spoken in several years. He graciously shared his rock flooring in his cave with us for the night. And we brought him food, and the next morning got up and we went to Pandapol, the sacred site up in the hills where Hanuman, the monkey god, had put his fist through solid rock to release a spring to save the people of Rajasthan from drought. It was all quite, wonderful and weird, and we smoked a bowl of hash. I'd never told my parents that part of this story while they were alive. Now they know. We got back on our bikes. We were coming back out of the hills, steep switchbacks. I wasn't paying sufficient attention. My bike hit a rock. I went flying over the handlebars and over the side of the hill and landed on some rocks. I wisely covered my beautiful face with my hands, but left exposed my not so beautiful torso. One of my ribs bent in and tore a 3-inch hole in my liver. This was all internal injuries. I had no idea. All I knew in the moment that happened, and the point of the story is pain, just sort of overwhelming, annihilating, obliterating pain. That was it. Somehow David was able to come down off the road and somehow lift me back up onto the road. By road, it was a dirt road with rocks, and it really wasn't anything that we should have been going very fast down on a bicycle. But it was pain. That's all I knew was the pain. And of course, I did what one does when one is 22, try to escape that pain, writhing and screaming and fighting, and all pointless. The pain wasn't going to go anywhere, despite anything I did. And the moment that was so transformative, I guess, or began a transformation, I guess, everything's a process, right, was David holding me, David who would save my life repeatedly over the next few months through the vicissitudes of this injury and complications and surgeries and infections and so forth. David holding me, and I can vividly hear his voice even now, 50 years later. He said, "Go to the pain." He didn't say no pain, no gain. He didn't say, those kind of crap. He said, go to where the pain is. He said, breathe and go to the pain. It made no fucking sense to me whatsoever. But I was really not rational, in the slightest. It was all just about that pain. And David's calming voice, a certain voice saying, go to where that pain is. Go there. Keep breathing and go to the pain. There was no other choice. There was no option. And I don't know, I couldn't fully tell you what happened in those moments, that hour, however long it took, for me to bring my focus, all of my focus, to what David seemed to suggest was a kind of ineffable cellular level of where pain exists, or where that particular pain existed. All I knew was that was going closer, going toward that pain was the only thing that was going to help me survive that pain and get through that pain. Eventually it receded. Maybe it would have receded on its own if I'd have been smoking more hash. I don't know. All I know is that was the process, that was the trigger, that was the direction that I went in. And that has stuck with me ever since. David's remonstration, David's urging me to go to that pain. And ever since then, it's really almost kind of a mantra in our family, or an idea, a controlling idea of going to wherever the pain is, be it physical, spiritual, psychological, emotional, going to where the pain is, owning that pain, not trying to escape what is, accepting it, going there and embracing it and being it in that moment as a necessary approach to dealing with that aspect of experience. I couldn't say that there was one moment or that was the moment. As I said, I think that it began a kind of a journey, as all of our transformations really are. There's something that happens, and then there we go down that path, and that was a very defining feature of a path that I've been on still to this day. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Patrick Newstetter. I can't talk off the top of my head like these eloquent people, so I have to use notes, I'm sorry to say. So the transformative event that I've chosen was not a crisis, not a catastrophe, but an action that led to an amazing but educational adventure. And I hope that doesn't sound lightweight or flippant compared with the other people's harrowing stories. The event is from when I was a medical student in 1969. In the final year, you could do an elective, some kind of study of your own choosing, anything, anywhere, providing it was something sort of medical. I had an old girlfriend working as an optometrist in Athens who said she could arrange for an elective at the King Paul Hospital in Athens. This sounded like a good number to me. I recruited fellow student Blair, and we booked our train tickets to Athens. I was lucky that we actually got there because we had 8 hours to spend in Munich changing trains, and we found our way to the Hofbrauhaus. In Athens, our study schedule was all a bit of a joke. We'd get to the hospital about 10 a.m., which would prompt Professor Skalkis, who was supposedly we were working under, to round up his colleagues, and we'd all go shoot the breeze and drink coffee. That Greek coffee, which is sickly sweet, mud-like, but has a kick like a mule. In the spirit of further adventure, we decided to take a few days off from this punishing regime and fly to Istanbul. We'd heard that it billed as like the gateway to the East, so we were kind of intrigued. And here we were completely blown away by the strangeness of it all, by the Blue Mosque, by the chaos and the bustle, none more so than the Grand Bazaar with its sinister labyrinth of covered streets and alleyways unchanged from Byzantine times, with some 4,000 odd shops, like all a kind of glittering array of tchotchkes, a real kind of Aladdin's cave. But more than just being an amazing spectacle, it was a peek into another world. And we found ourselves thinking, if this is the gateway to the East, what comes next? So this was the impetus to start hatching a plan to explore further, to look beyond. A plan became a reality a couple of years later with Blair again, but also old school friend Chappie and my sister and Angie and a friend came along for the first half. We planned to spend 9 months driving the hippie trail overland through Europe, Greece, Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Khyber Pass to India, places you couldn't do today, unfortunately. And then on to Nepal. We bought a VW Combi, which turned out to be a lemon. We had to abandon it, but that's another story. It was really, this was what was the transformative event. Spending 9 months getting deeper and deeper into ever more weird and wonderful places. The exposure to cultures, to dress, to food, to religions, to customs, philosophies, even drugs of all these fantastic places was beyond our wildest imaginings, beyond anything within our frame of reference, a broadening of our horizons we could not conceive of if we had not stepped out and gone to these places. It spurred me to keep traveling, which meant my medical career and advancement were repeatedly interrupted, though I was able to combine the two in Canada, Australia, and Zimbabwe, but also spent time just traveling, not working, coming back overland from Australia through Southeast Asia and the length of Africa, getting to Zimbabwe. This may all sound a little bit hedonistic and like I'm a bit full of myself, but the exposure, I think, helped me understand people from different cultures, which I think has been a real boon in practicing medicine. It made me tolerant of what might seem strange ideas, like how Eastern culture tends to think of in terms of energy flow and balance, or African culture that has such a strong belief in the spirit of good and evil and how they can be manipulated by witch doctors, you know, the kind of ultimate placebo effect. Though it was the travel rather than the trip to Istanbul that was transformative, it was the trip to Istanbul that kind of started it all. The start of an education that has allowed me to be comfortable in all kinds of aberrant cultures, so much so that I've been able to tolerate living in America for 43 years.
All right. We're going to open up the mics, but this is not for you to share your transformative event, okay? Just ask questions, all right? So keep it brief. But before we do that, so you can be thinking about that, before we do that, I would like to ask one question I want each of you to answer. When you're going through a transformative event, often, you know, sometimes it's a happy, fun, amazing, wonderful, but very oftentimes it's gut-wrenching, and it's a thing that you don't think you're going to get through. I mean, you think this is the end, right? So many of these stories here, you feel like you're at the end. So what is one thing that each of you would say to somebody who's right there now? I'm at the end. I do not know what my next step is. What is the one thing you would say from what you've learned through this transformative experience? What would you say to them? Ready, set, go. Who's going to go first? All right.
Find your people.
Find your people, okay.
That's how I did it, is I surrounded myself with my people so that I didn't have to deal with the end.
Yeah, and that was kind of a common theme. Yeah, Gloria, you want to go next?
I would say the same thing. Being with death, when I went from no way am I going back to knowing my way, it had to do with the people, the support, the care. Yeah.
Okay. Shirley?
Your real friends will be there for you. They took me on bike rides. I was crying while I was biking, but I was on a bike ride in the beautiful weather with my friends.
Yeah.
I did have two friends that were with me every minute of the time after my husband died, and that was very helpful, along with counseling sessions, weekly, monthly, and also engaged with my son who was there in the house when my husband killed himself. So that has helped always. Friends have been helped, but also finding ways as a retired nurse now, I thought, I know there are ways that can help me move forward and investigate how I can do that. That's what caused me to move on into other areas.
Good.
David and I have stayed friends every day of our lives since before I was in India with him. There's a depth, you know, a closeness that is just, you know, the gift of a lifetime, really. And I have found that that's what I'm looking for, that depth of connection with others. And I've been just blessed to find it. And I think, shout out to the UU, there is just kind of an implicit depth of connection that I've always found with the people here.
Nice.
Well, with, you know, bad things happening, it may sound a little corny, you know, try to be mindful, try to observe what's going on. Doesn't mean you have to suppress your emotions, but just kind of see them and be a little bit disconnected from them, perhaps.
Yeah.
And obviously support is very important.
Perspective. Yeah, very good. All right, who has a question? If you have a question, stand up, and then we're going to bring a mic to you, say your name, and then ask your question, all right? So you got to stand up, all right. And we got another mic, because one of the other greeters grabbed the other mic, and we'll go around.
So my name is Ann Briggs, and one of my roles that I have is I serve as the advancement chair for my son's Boy Scout troop. And one of the questions we have to ask them as they go through their ranks is we ask about the duty to God portion. And I'll ask these teenage boys, I'll say, you know, one of the questions we have to ask is about how do you feel about duty to God? What is it in your life? And the most common responses we get is, I don't know. I don't go to church. I don't really think about that. I'm not concerned about it. And one thing I try to encourage them is just to say, there could be times in your life, down the road many years, when you're going to face challenges and hardships. And this might be a great point of comfort to you. But I'm just wondering with you all, how would you counsel these boys, or what advice could you give me to kind of pass along in terms of was faith or belief important in getting through some of the challenges that you went through?
We are Stardust, right? We are all interconnected. I mean, it's one of the UU principles. And God to me, that is God to me, is this profound and, forever interconnection. It'll be with my children when I'm gone from here, and it was with me from my parents. And, that to me is God. God is the, existential, responsibility we have for one another. And if we don't have that, I don't know that we have anything.
Okay. Somebody else want?
Not necessarily faith, but I believe that everything is already happening and has already happened, and so it's just how you deal with it in the moment. There's a line from a song that I remember a lot when I think about what happened, and it's when I look at my scars, there's a moment when I remember I wouldn't have this if there wasn't you. And I think that that's really to remember, really important for them to remember, is that they're going to go through hard stuff, but that hard stuff is what's going to get them the good stuff.
Hi, I'm Emerald Storm, and a lot of times transformative events, like you mentioned, there's a before and an after. And so I'm just curious, how did you change from your before to your after, or what lessons did you bring with you forward that you can share with us?
Is this on? Okay, like I said, when I didn't want to go to the class because I thought there's just no way I'm going to hear about death. But after that class, I knew my way. I know my way. And I went on to, I hadn't been to college, so I went on to college and graduate school, and it became my life work. Something that frightened me became something that was the deepest meaning for me, so, yeah.
Somebody else want to address that?
I became a fighter. For about 10 years in that marriage, I was a doormat. And I didn't believe that I was worth a lot. But when that happened, I had to fight. And as any parent in this room knows, when someone tries to hurt or take your child, you become a monster. And so I became a fighter overnight.
All right, one more. We got time for one more. Somebody else?
I was going to
Go ahead.
respond
Sure.
quickly.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Having an RN background and working with people in life that had so many problems, I realized that I was capable.
Just hold it close.
Oh, hello, yeah. I was capable of changing myself. I have a deep sense of I'm strong, I'm brave, I can do this. And I've had that throughout my whole life, and that helped me a great deal when this occurred in my life.
All right, let's thank our panel one more. All right, announcements. We are looking for some volunteers. If you would be willing to help us work at Paula's house on, that's the 26, 25, and 27? 25, 26, 27. If you can come and help even for an hour, help clear out some yard waste. We've got a big container ready for that. That's going to be in our yard. We just need some muscle people with strong backs and weak minds to come and help us move stuff. All right, next. We have a special... Yeah, just let us know when you're coming. Yeah. Sure, right, we can let everybody know. Yep. So let us know. Let Paula know. Yeah. During the summer months, we have a particularly hard time finding people to help us with our community meal. This is the last Monday of the month, or I guess the fourth Monday of the month. And we do this in cooperation with St. George's Episcopal Church. If you would be willing to help out just once, if you would let me know or let the office know, we'll get you connected. So what's that date? That would be the 28th of July, yes? 28th of July is our next one. If you can help out even just that one evening, that would be a great help for us to get through the summer months, which are difficult. Yes?
I've done it for 4 years, as long as we've been doing it. And you can come for a short amount of time, you can feel some carrots, you can leave, you can stay for the serving, you can stay for any part of it.
Yeah, even if you can't come for the whole evening, we could still use your help.
It's transformative.
It is transformative. All right. Next slide. All right. Right after the service today, there's our next school lunch chat. We're going to be talking about public education and some of the things that are going on politically related to that. So if you are interested in that topic, you can run and grab some lunch if you want, or grab some sandwiches back here and be a part of that conversation. All right, Jackie. I'm sorry, Karen.
So if you have anything significant that you would like to share, please stand and someone will bring a mic to you. And please keep your comments concise so that we have time for everyone to share who would like to. And please start off with your name. So let's, please, is there anyone who would like to be able to share here with?
Hi, it's Emerald again. I have a joy. So a couple weeks ago, my son turned 19, and I'm very, very happy for that. And then also, we've been sick the last couple weeks, and we haven't made it to church. And just walking in the building this morning felt so good, and just so I feel so loved and welcomed here. And I just really appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ed. I have a joy that my daughter Melanie has returned back from California. She's back in Virginia, and she's starting up a new job with the state of Virginia as opposed to FEMA. So we're grateful for that. I also have a concern because my daughter Melanie is back from California, and she's moved back to Virginia.
Hi, I'm Dawn. I have a joy. I'm now a grandmother. My daughter had a baby boy, Matthew, last month, and I got to spend almost 6 weeks in Hawaii with them.
I guess I do have a joy. I've been asking my son, who has moved out and has had this pile of things he couldn't take with him, in my basement, and the water came. And then my son came and threw many things out yesterday, and it was really a joy to see him say, oh, well, I guess I don't need that hookah anymore. And it was wonderful, all the stuff that's gone. So water's good.
Well, surely there are other unspoken joys and concerns as well. And as part of that, I invite you all to stand, if you're able and willing, and just enjoy an attitude of meditation. And you may choose to signify your joy or concern by coming up forward and putting a stone into the pool here. So we'll take a moment for that. I would like to remind you that our fellowship can only continue when people like you and I make it possible. Our giving has been down the last 2 months, so please consider this a respectful reminder to do what you can generously, whether online or this morning. You may agree that this community needs the UUFF now more than ever. There is an offering basket by the doors where you came in. And now if you would join me with reading the closing words. Yes. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace.
Have a great day.
Thank you.